Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Come on in. Come on in. We are so happy and so excited to be here on this evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Purpose Journey Counseling LLC Reloaded. We're still reloaded for 2023. I want to welcome you. Say good evening. It is March 5th, 2023, and we are here for our monthly podcast. Tonight is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be phenomenal. And yes, March is Women's History Month. So we're going to be celebrating that this month. This evening, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. However, we're still definitely going to be celebrating women's history and acknowledging women's history this month as well. So again, I want to say welcome to you. Good evening. Good evening as you're coming on. I'll first introduce myself. My name is Dr. Ntatu North, and I am the owner and therapist of Purpose Journey Counseling, LLC, located in Cincinnati, Ohio. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live. We are live this evening. It's March 5th, 2023. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And I am in the process of posting the Instagram or the YouTube link on Instagram. So as you're coming on this evening, please like our page. Please like this broadcast. Please follow us on your preferred social media platform. Again, that is Purposed Journey Counseling LLC. And also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So we do ask, even if you don't watch us on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also please share. And definitely this evening, we want to make sure that we're interacting and engaging in the comments section. So while you're coming on, go ahead and do those things, and please let us know you're here in the comments section this evening. I'm really, really excited, really, really happy about this opportunity this evening, and I'm glad that you're joining us as well. So please go ahead and take care of those things, especially tagging those at least 7 people. Now, tonight we're talking about mental health and Black men. So if you are a Black man, if you know Black men, if you know men, go ahead and tag them so that they can join us on this evening. I am still posting to Instagram right now. As you're coming on, again, good evening. Let us know you're here in the comments section so we can all be together on this evening and we can interact with each other. Again, welcome, welcome, welcome. You probably also want to grab something to take some notes with tonight. I know that these gentlemen that are going to be on this evening are going to share some very great information for us all to have. So let's go ahead and do that on this evening as we're coming on. So I'm almost done sharing here. Again, we just want to welcome you again. We appreciate you taking time to spend some of your Sunday evening with us. So we do appreciate you taking the time to do that this evening. So as we're still sharing, as we're coming on this evening, before we get started, I do want to share the information for give you 2 phone numbers. Actually, as we're talking about mental health, we want to make sure that we have the resources that are needed. We just never know when we may need this information. We never know when someone else may need this information. So I want to share 2 numbers with you. The first number is for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and that number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. This number is 24/7. Please save this number in your phone for you, for anyone, just to make sure that you have this information available. There's also another number I would like to share. That is the number for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. That number is 988. That number is also 24/7, and you are able to text that number as well. So please save that information in your phone. It's so important to have it. Again, you just never know when it could be needed. So as you're coming on, again, please let us know that you're here. Hope you're tagging people in the comments section. Again, men that you know, specifically Black men that you know. If you are a Black man, go ahead and join us on this evening. I just want to throw a couple tidbits out there because I'm excited because today is actually Purpose Journey Counseling's 3rd birthday. We are 3 years old. Technically, we became active on March 5th, 2020. We know about a week later, a pandemic happened. So we had to push some things back, but we're thankful and grateful to God for this opportunity to celebrate a 3rd birthday. And God is about to do some amazing things in this year. So we're praising God for that on this evening. So I don't want to belabor the moment because I want to make sure that we have time to talk this evening for this discussion. I've been looking forward to this since it was birthed. So I'm very, very thankful. Again, this is hashtag from a Christian, hashtag from a therapist with Dr. Ntatu. And this is episode 10. And episode 10 is mental health in Black men, the silent killer. This show was actually inspired by the suicide of Twitch, Stephen Twitch Boss. This is what inspired this. And it was just thought of that this is definitely necessary to have this conversation, specifically with Black men. As I was telling our guest panelists for this evening, I'm not a Black man, so I can't talk about what it's like to be a Black man. I have a husband, I have sons, but I don't know what it's like to be a Black man. So what better way to talk about mental health in Black men than to talk to Black men? So as we're getting ready to go into our discussion, got to throw out some of our staples out here. Yes, it's okay to have Jesus and a therapist too. So if you're wondering, yes, it's okay. It is okay to have both. So just a couple more things. What is Purpose Journey Counseling, LLC? We are a private practice located in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we do mental health therapy, telehealth, and in-person sessions. And I'm going to put the plug out there right now because we're actually now hiring a licensed therapist. So if you are a licensed therapist or you know someone who is a licensed therapist looking for first part-time work, potentially to move into full-time, it will move into full-time. If they would like to, please call 513-402-2241. Thank you so very much. So now that we've gotten all the business out of the way, let's go ahead and get ready to get started. So I am going to bring on our guest panelists for this evening, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. So here we go. Good evening again, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. All right. So I know your names are on the screen, but I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourselves in whatever order you like to go.
Well, I'm Lamar North. I'm just happy to be on the panel this evening talking about men's mental health. So I'm looking forward to it.
Welcome.
Go ahead, bro.
I'm David Rector. I'm very happy that I have this opportunity to speak on behalf of men all over the country.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Q Montgomery. Very happy to be here. Looking forward to the discussion.
Again, welcome to all three of you. And publicly, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your evenings to be here, to have this discussion that is definitely necessary. It's definitely going to be very, very helpful. I know all three of you pretty well. I'll say pretty well, maybe one very, very, very well, but all of you pretty well. And I do thank God for all of you. These are Christian Black men. So let's specify that too. They know Jesus too. So I do want to thank you all publicly for being on this evening to have this discussion. So as we always do, first I'm going to read a scripture, then we're going to have a quick icebreaker to get, kind of little jitters out, get us going, and then we shall proceed. So our scripture for this evening is coming from 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3-4. I'm reading out of the NIV, and it will be on the screen as well. And it says, "Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God." So as we're getting ready to talk about mental health, definitely wanted to read that scripture as we go into this discussion. So we're going to have a quick icebreaker. Wanted to say, ask a little fun question before things get deep. So and I want each of you to answer this question. What is your favorite genre of movies?
Horror.
Well, I knew that. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm more of like action, drama, documentary, if that makes sense.
That sounds like three different genres.
Yeah, I do.
I mean,
I'm gonna just say, just say action.
I like what I like.
Oh, right.
Action for me.
Action. Okay. All righty. So now we've got the easy question out of the way. Definitely wanted to ask that. Let's see, because we got comments too. Hey, sis. Welcome, welcome, welcome this evening. All righty. So now we're just going to basically have an open discussion. So the questions that I'm asking will be on the screen. I'll keep them up at least or for part of the time that the gentlemen are answering the questions so you all can follow along. If you are watching and you have questions or, follow-ups, things like that, comments, all I ask is that you're respectful in the comment section, but you may throw those in as well, and I'll try to throw them on the screen if I can. So first question for you gentlemen. Who taught you about Black men expressing how they feel, and what were you taught?
Mr. Montgomery, we'll let you slide in.
Don't let me start.
Go ahead,
Okay,
start it
so
off.
who taught me about being a Black man and expressing how I feel? Nobody. Unfortunately, I grew up without a dad, and I really wasn't taught how I should express my feelings, or even what feelings to express. To be honest, I didn't learn a lot of those things until I got older, and then I really started to develop that on my own and through trial and error. To be honest, lost a lot of people along the way, relationships, friendships, because I just didn't know, right? And that's no shade to the men that were there in my life, but my grandfather, he wasn't a very emotional guy. He wasn't that. And my uncles, they were just my uncles. They weren't in my life in that capacity. So I just never was taught. And so as I grew up and had kids of my own, it's become something that I've tried to instill in my kids, and let them know that it's cool. It's all right, and it's all right to be transparent about how you feel. I know we grew up with this stigma of, hey, a man shouldn't express how he feels, or, we're not supposed to be that because, it makes us weak or it makes us look soft. But I've grown to find out that as you get grown, your woman want to know how you feel. And so you grow into those things if you really care about family and really fostering a good environment for your household.
I can go next.
Oh, go ahead, David.
Kind of got the same story as Q. No father in the household, so kind of had to kind of figure that out on my own. My mom and my sister tried to instill in me, to the best of their ability, how to communicate, um, as well as how to be a Black man. But they were not Black men, so kind of hard to do so. So I figured it out, via trial and error. Um, not communicating has cost me some relationships, has put a strain on others. Uh, but being an adult and eventually going to a therapist, I am a lot better with how I communicate, as of right now. Um, yeah, like it's crazy how Black men or not taught correctly how to express themselves. So you have some who are too expressive, and then you have some who are not expressive at all, and then they let stuff build up, and then all of a sudden somebody then left a Lego on the floor, and
Yeah.
it turns into World War V in your household.
Blow up. Yes, sir.
Everybody looking at you like, why is you tripping over a Lego being in the floor? You cussing out everybody about something that happened 3 years ago. So
I would say for me, I had my pops in the household, but he was very old school. You know, it was take care of your family. That's just what you do. You know, it wasn't too many emotions when it came to him. It was more of a straight line, kind of like, oh, you got a problem. That's how you solve it. Like it really wasn't no gray area for feelings. I would say. So I would say my mom and my sister kind of taught me how to express my feelings and talk things out and things like that. But yeah, you know, and it kind of trickled down with my dad because his dad, my grandfather, who I never got to meet because he passed away when I was a baby, he didn't show those kind of emotions to them. So then it kind of trickled down to, you know, not really showing emotions with me, but he was a great father, you know. Anything I ever needed, he was always there. You know, I could talk to him about stuff, but like I said, it was more of a okay, you got a problem like right here. All right, well that's how you get to here to solve it. So yeah, I would say, yeah, more so my mom though taught me how to sit down and talk things out. You know, what are you feeling about this and those kind of things.
And I thank you all for being so. I'm sorry.
No, I was just like, I was agreeing, like, yeah, because my mom was the same person, like, it's like mom just sat me down, and it's crazy because my mom, when I got to a certain age, my mom was like, "There ain't nothing else I can tell you," and so, but she did, and she still does, like, she'll sit me down and work things out with me from a woman's perspective, to try to get me to really understand it that way, and then I can kind of apply that man thing to it later, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mama definitely. My mama and my grandma for sure. Those the ones.
moms and my sister, those are still my rocks as of right now. Like if it's something that I don't understand, my sister is no nonsense and no filter, and as well, like her patience for foolishness is a lot shorter now that she's older. So I can call her and she gonna tell me off rip like, that's not what we about to do, and even check me if I'm tripping. Like, what?
Yeah.
No, Moms too. She like, well, why would you do that for? Like, it's good having that balance as well as that support system.
Absolutely, because a support system is very important, you know, whether it was a father or a mom and a sister or, someone to be able to talk to you about it. And even if you didn't necessarily experience it from a father figure or a parent or a grandparent, it definitely is good to have someone who's, trying to guide that process. But like you also, you kind of still have to learn how to navigate it on your own because sometimes
Mhm.
it's hard to do what you've not seen or if you've
Mhm.
seen it done incorrectly to try to do it the correct way.
Absolutely.
Man,
Leads into to our next question. Is what you were taught different than what you saw from other Black men? So that could be men outside of your family or even in your family.
Well, for
yeah.
me, the only the I got one Black man that really like imposed his will on me when I was a young guy, and that was my older cousin Damon. And he just really kind of showed me the basics, because I was lost in the sauce. I ain't even hold you. And so, he really kind of took me under his wing, when I was a younger guy and was just like, look, man, like, this is how you should dress. He taught me how to, put my shoe game together and taught me how to drive. And, he kind of taught me how to, really talk to these ladies. He kind of gave me the basics, the things that was going to get me through. Right. And then as I got older and we got older, we started experiencing relationships around the same time. And, we would kind of chop it up and really kind of discuss. But, as I've matured and grown, excuse me, it's really been like I'm trial and error for me, trial and error. These last, let's say 2 years, I think I've learned more in the last 2 years than I've learned in my first 39. So, it's just about, growing and maturing and really being able to own up to my mistakes, because those are the things that have taught me the most, because I've had no other choice but to fail to learn. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that pisses me off and it gets me upset at my dad, but he did what he did and he moved how he moved, and I respect that in him. Like, I'm not mad at him. Everybody makes their own choices. And so now it's just about living and learning from my mistakes and being a better man tomorrow.
I can say that what I was taught is definitely different than what I've seen. Um, and also just dealing and being in different relationships. I've always been told like you're so different than anybody that I've ever dealt with. And that's because of my level of respect, for women, because my mom and my sister, if I was to disrespect a woman in front of them, I got a beat down coming. Like, and those are two women that I respect. Also, I have a daughter. So with that, I am definitely going to be more respectful to any woman in my path, because I want somebody to be respectful for my daughter. And what you put down the atmosphere always comes back to you. So, um, I've always moved in a respectful manner. Now, those around me have not always done so, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. I know I got to deal with God at the end of the day. So, regardless if you did me dirty or not, I'm still gonna respect you. I might not fool with you after that. Might love you from a distance or act like you never existed, but I can love you from afar. So, yeah, the ways that some black men that I've seen, in my vicinity, they have definitely moved way different than what I was taught.
I would say for me, uh, pretty much, yeah, kind of like the same thing with them. Um, I was around my uncles and my older cousins a lot growing up. We would have like football Sundays, and I would always be around them. So you know what I was taught to feel one way, and then when you're around them, it's a totally different thing. It was more so with them. That's how you, like Q said, that's how you talk to the ladies. You know, this how you move as a man. You don't really have time for to be in your feelings about stuff. You got to get things done. You got people counting on you and depending on you. So you don't really have that luxury of dwelling on what your feelings are. It's more so, get what you got to get done, and then kind of deal with that later. So, but yeah, I would say it's from what you're taught, from your feelings, and then what you're taught when you're around. Like I said, a lot of males, it's completely different because we aren't conditioned to show our emotions when we're with our male friends. But I'm glad to say, like, with these two, I consider them my brothers, so we can have a wide range of conversations about anything, about what we're feeling. And I thank God for both of them, along with a few of my cousins also. But I don't, I have an older sister, but I don't have any brothers. So when I express my feelings, to the guys I call my brothers, it feels good to know that there's no judgment there, and like we were talking about earlier, having accountability, them hold me accountable. If I go off the rails a little bit, I know they'll be like, "Yo, you wow, and you got to come back and get back on track." So I'll definitely appreciate that.
It's so important. It's like changing the narrative essentially, because what
Mhm.
you all have seen may not be what you want your story to look like, but making a choice, a conscious effort and being very intentional about doing something different. Like having a circle of people, and it may not be everyone, or you may express different feelings to different people. The conversations might not be identical depending on who you're speaking with, but being able to do that and to have safe spaces where, even if, because I was taking some notes on what you all said, like Q, you were talking about to fail, like to learn from like the failures, and David moving respectfully despite other people, and Lamar talking about having a space, for those feelings. It's like being able to have that in various relationships is so pivotal, and with other men too, for it to be okay for men to come together and talk about how they feel. Maybe that's not necessarily the conversation is we're going to have, this dump session about stuff, but to feel comfortable to say it's okay for us to talk about this. It's okay. I'm comfortable enough with you that I know if I share this with you, then you're going to be able to share with me as well. So that is definitely pivotal. I'll go ahead and throw this question in there because it's my mom. So I'm going to let her go and ask this question. Hey, Mom, what men do you admire? Anyone in history? Throw that in there.
Oh, okay.
You know what? One of my favorite people is Jay-Z. And I think I admire him from a couple of different spaces. One, he a great businessman, right? And that's my space. But he's also a great artist. But I think what I like the most about him is just how intentional he is about his family, and the fact that he messed up, but he was able to get it back right. And I think a lot of times, we as black men, we thrown over the coals when we make a mistake, right? It's like mistakes aren't allowed to be made as a black man or as a man in general. Sometimes I ain't gonna even categorize it as a black man. I'm just gonna say men in general. And so, a lot of times, when you grow up and you're not taught how to properly move within relationship or how to express yourself within relationships, you fumble the ball. And I kind of liked how, when he fumbled the ball, he was able to recover and really come back and do what he needed to do for his wife. And so, that's dope. And so I really admire that brother for, really being intentional about getting it right. And, especially when it came out in the public that he got it wrong. So yeah, I like that dude, man. He moved how I want to move one day in terms of business and stuff. He live.
Somebody I say I would admire would be Malcolm X. And the reason that I say that is because no matter what, him getting kicked out of the Nation of Islam, him having death threats, he kept pushing forward no matter what. It's that ambition and that tenacity and that will to, yeah, even though my life is in danger, I'm still pressing forward for the greater good of things, no matter what. And it ended up costing him his life, but at the same time, it wasn't in vain. Like he had a real cause that he was actually fighting for. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't a perfect man. However, um, he didn't try to make it seem like he was perfect. He let you know, like, hey, like, I make mistakes, but I'm still pushing. I'm still going to make things happen. And he did. So that's somebody in history that I admire.
See, I had to think about that one. I would say, I don't know if a lot of people heard of him, but this brother named Byron Allen. He used to have a late night talk show, and he makes a lot of great business moves. And he actually bought the Weather Channel. I don't know if a lot of people know that. Did it so silently. And, that's kind of I like to kind of move like that. Like I don't really, nobody really, unless you're close in my circle, you don't really know what I have going on. So I really admire him the way he moves as a businessman, as a family man. I got hip to him about 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm like, oh no. So I did some research on him. I'm like, ooh, he's doing all right. So yeah, that's one I would say somebody for me.
Okay. Well, thanks, Mom, for that additional question. That was really good. It gives like some perspective on how y'all think and how y'all move, like that. So we're gonna go to our next question. So kind of looking at Like, if there's a difference, this is what I kind of want to get. Is there a difference? Do we think, in terms of being emotionally vulnerable, do you think there's a difference in what has been socially acceptable for Black men versus what is socially acceptable for other men, so men of other ethnicities? Do you think there is a difference in what it
Huge.
Most definitely. Because,
It-
okay, so if we get upset, we're expressing our feelings about something in a public forum, whether it's in public, like in the bank or in the boardroom or in the office, we're seen as a threat. We're seen that we're going to hurt somebody when it's like, no, we're just as human. However, somebody of my other counterpart, they get upset, then it's just like, oh, he's just upset. So because I'm upset about something, you feel like I'm about to try to burn the place down. Okay, cool. So a lot of times in public forums or just period, when we withdraw or we get quiet and don't say nothing, then we're also looked at being difficult and hard to work with. When it's just like, how else am I supposed to express myself? I can't say certain things because then I'm taken as aggressive or angry. So do you want me to keep to myself so I can keep my job, or do you want me to flip this table over? Like, which one of these extremes do you want? Like,
right?
yeah,
when you try to give them a middle ground and try to have a peaceful conversation, then your feelings go unheard and then you're invalidated. And one thing that really burns me up is when somebody tries to invalidate my feelings and try to gaslight me. That's the quickest way for me to go 0 to 100 because it's like I'm not stupid. I'm trying to express to you where my issue is, how I'm feeling, and why I feel this way. However, you're trying to flip it on me like, well, no, that's not the case. My feelings of what I'm feeling is valid.
Mhm.
Just
yeah,
like you would want your feelings validated, you need to validate mine. And don't try to gaslight me and try to tell me that what I'm feeling is not what I'm feeling when I have plenty of evidence to state what I am feeling is valid.
Mhm.
That's just me.
yeah. I think the narrative, right? It's the narrative that's been created about Black men um, that gets us in trouble when we try to express our feelings, right? Because I think there's a incorrect narrative that has been, taught throughout history that we're just aggressive and we've been categorized as killers and thugs and all of these
Dead
negative things,
father.
right? We're violent, we're these just indeplorable people, right? When once we get in this emotional space. And that's not true because a lot of us are educated, a lot of us can talk very well and express ourselves very well in a very controlled way, in a very controlled environment. But once they see us flustered, and don't be 6'5", 300 pounds like myself, and catch an attitude because then you immediately become a threat, and everybody in the room acts like it's the end of the world. So I just think it's the narrative that's been created about Black men that we can't have these conversations, and if we do have these conversations, that we have to be looked upon in a negative way. Um, but at the end of the day, we have to learn how to navigate those rooms. We have to learn how to navigate, being able to express ourselves in a way that doesn't bring fear to whoever we're expressing ourselves to, whether it be somebody of the same race or a different race. We have to be able to uh, be the person that we want people to see. And we can't let people create a narrative about us. I worked in corporate America for a long time, and I did that. I realized that being quiet allowed people to create that narrative,
Mhm.
and sometimes you just have to open your mouth and say what it is. And it doesn't have to be offensive. It doesn't have to be threatening. It doesn't have to be any of those things. But you have to state what it is so that people know. And then they learn how to treat you. They learn how to receive you. You have to teach people. And so I think as Black men now, that's our responsibility. We have to teach people how to receive us. We have to teach people how to interact with us and deal with us, and not let them create the narrative of how that happens. Because if you let them create it, they gonna create it. It ain't gonna be pleasant for you. And so, that's my take.
Yeah, I would, to piggyback off these two gentlemen. I would definitely say it's we are looked at differently when our emotions come into play, and it's really hard for Black men to be emotional about things too, because when we're vulnerable, one, you have to find somebody that you trust enough to be vulnerable with. That's a very big thing, to be vulnerable with someone and then to have them turn your feelings on you afterwards. If I tell you something that's making me feel vulnerable as a man, and then we get into an argument and you say, well, that's why da, da, da. And I'm like, well, and that's the reason why we don't open up, because it gets used against us a lot of times. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it hurts, and it makes it very hard to want to open up and tell you what's going on. That's why you hear a lot of men, how you, I'm good. Yeah, everything good. Most of the time, everything isn't good,
Yeah.
and it's hard to be a Black man in America, a lot of the times. And I pray every day for Black women and Black men as well. But we're under a really big microscope right now, with everything going on in this social climate. So yeah, it's definitely a difference between, even if you take a look at, when crimes happen and things like that, the different narratives that are painted with us is
Yep.
they found a mug shot of us, or a bad picture of us when we were in high school, versus someone else, they find a clean cut picture of them, a family picture, they were troubled, or it's always a different narrative when it comes to us. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, code switching, essentially. Yep, code is different. Code is different. I wanted to put this up. I just want to have somebody just kind of touch this. I don't know if this question for Kia. Hey sis, by the way, I don't know if this was answered, but do you all, somebody, just one person, take this one? Do you think this only applies to so-called, like, quote unquote negative emotions, like when expressing negative, or could it just be anything?
Nah, Doc. It apply both ways actually, because even when we're giving positive feedback, I think a lot of times it's taken incorrectly, because I think when we express our emotions from a positive place, it's taken as a weakness. Oh, he weak, he's soft.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't what I want. Like, and I'm saying this from a woman's perspective, right? Because a lot of times when a man expresses his positive emotions, he usually talking to a woman. So, and even a man, even if he's expressing to a man, that's why Lamar said you gotta have a group where you're comfortable being able to express yourself in that way, because it can be looked at as, oh, he weak. Like, a man ain't supposed to talk in this manner, because a lot of women haven't been taught how to receive a man who can express his emotions. And so, we get in this place where it's like, hey, baby, I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to share with you. And then you quickly find out that she don't even know how to receive what you're saying. And so now she goes back to what culture has taught her, which is a man shouldn't talk this way. A man shouldn't be this way. And so those things become construed, right? And they're misinterpreted. And so now, the man don't even want to talk to his woman no more because she don't even get it. And so, we all left out here like that stuff.
Yeah. That's a good point. And that's why, like I said, this conversation is for men, but it's for women too, because if we could learn how to receive communication from our men, maybe y'all would talk to us. If we, could listen and not be judgmental or not, say these things, it's important for us to understand that too. We have to be a safe space too. We can't expect you to talk to us and communicate, especially as you're talking about being vulnerable. Because why would you want to be vulnerable with somebody who, is not going to necessarily be able to receive it or take that information and not use it against you? Like Lamar, I know you were talking about that earlier. That's important. It's very pivotal.
Yeah.
So, wow, y'all are great. I just want to say that y'all are great, and I really appreciate this.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to move along because there's a couple of things I definitely want to make sure we get to, but I want to ask this question. What is your outlet to protect your mental health? What do you do to protect your mental health?
I'll take this one. I have a therapist. I have a life coach, as well as, of course, prayer. And then I have a circle of family and friends that I can go to and be like, look, I'm struggling. Like, this is what I'm going through. This is how I'm feeling. You know, am I tripping because I feel this way? And, I can um, honestly say that my family and friends have been there. Um, I went through a divorce about a year and a half ago. And before that, I was separated for a while. So during that time, my family and friends were pivotal because I definitely feel like there was a dark cloud over me. Not to mention there was a pandemic, so we were isolated. So it was just a lot going on at that point in time. So a mixture of all of those is why I'm still here today. If I'm completely honest and transparent about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a piggyback on that. I got the doc, I got the therapist, and then I have my mom and my grandma. Those my girls. I can go to them, and especially my grandma, because she gonna hit me with that sage wisdom that I can't get from nowhere else, right?
Right.
Definitely pray a lot. Definitely pray a lot. But I will say the last almost 2 years, I've been going to therapy, and that's been my saving grace. I'm able to sit down and talk with my therapist and really kind of get some clarification on me, right? And really like identify some things in me that just weren't so good. And so, I've been able to really address a lot of things that was going wrong within me. And so that's how I protect my mental health, man, by being able to really like dump and have somebody like help me work through my mess and be like, you know what? You tripping here, you tripping here, you tripping there, but let me help you get back up. Like this is what we need to do to like get you back in the space of moving on the right path. And so, going to a therapist has been pivotal for me. And I encourage anybody who does not go to a therapist, go get you one. Go see Dr. Ntatu. She live. Go get a therapist, man. Go get a therapist. There's a lot of great therapists here in the city, and wherever you at, just find one, man. Find somebody that you can talk to and that won't judge you and ain't just trying to get some money up out of you, but really care about your mental health. And I guarantee you, if you apply yourself, you'll get out of it what you put into it.
This is
public service announcement. Here we go.
Let's see. With me, prayers. I've learned to start praying a lot more when things are bothering me. I just recently started going back to a therapist. I had my second session yesterday. Cleaning is a big one for me. Like my kid, when I'm really upset about something, I just start cleaning. That's how my wife knows.
I'm glad you admitted that. Thank you, because I know
that pie
with me, bro.
It's something about that pie style smell when you get the mop in
Yeah, Doc.
No,
Smell of clean. Looking.
yeah, I put my earbuds in. It used to be basketball a lot. I would just go to the basketball court by myself and just shoot around for about an hour, talk to myself. But yeah, nowadays it's more praying, therapy, and cleaning. So
Mm.
and now with me being able to be more vulnerable and talking to my wife as well, that protects my mental health because I know there won't be any judgment there. Who else would want to see me thrive mentally other than the person I've been with for 15 years? So I would say those four things are definitely big ones for me.
Man, you just put it all out there. 15 years.
Yeah, man.
We get
15.
old. We get old.
Hey, that's
Yes.
what's up, though. That's a
Yeah.
good look.
Yeah.
Definitely
But
good look.
I'm glad that all three of you have your outlets and that you know the significance of protecting your mental health and you're active in it. So like y'all not just on here talking about it, you're actually doing these things.
Yeah.
It is so important. And I'm gonna put the plug out there again. Yeah, like Q said, if you don't have a therapist, black man, if you don't have a therapist, go get you a therapist.
That's the day. Like,
If
go
that's
get one.
go get one. If that's the only person you could be vulnerable with, it's good to have that one person that you could be vulnerable with that's not going to judge you, that's not going to put your business on Facebook, that's not going to do any of that. Get you a therapist. Get you one. Definitely. I want to ask this question before we go into the last couple, because I think this is a very pivotal question. Is it okay for a black man to cry?
Yes.
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 It should be.
Yes. Yes. But you know what? I'm gonna be real with you. As a black man, it's snatched from you. Oh, it's snatched from you.
Yep.
Because even if you have a dad that tells you it's okay to cry and he validates that in you, society will rip it from you because society tells us, and in most cases will not allow us to cry. It's just not something that shows strength in culture, right? I think one of the first times that I really like seen a black man cry and was like, oh, that's deep, that's heavy, was when I was watching Denzel Washington in was it Glory? I can't remember the name of the movie, but he was crying, he had that one big tear.
That was Glory.
Like,
oh, got him an Oscar.
But he was strong in that movie though, right? And so like when I seen that, I was like, oh, it might not be, because all my life I've been told, like, man, black man, you don't cry. As a man, you just don't cry. Mm-hmm. But as I've gotten older though, like I be in the crib, but I cry like when ain't nobody around though. I cry like I might get a tear or something if I'm watching something really emotional. But nah, I ain't crying in public unless it's like unless I'm pissed off. Like I'm just keep it real. Like if I get to a certain point where I'm angry, that's the only thing that's gonna save you, Doc. If I just let me cry, let me get it out. Let me get it out. Cause if I don't cry, bro, you ain't gonna like what's coming on the back end. I'm telling you. So yeah.
And to piggyback off of what he says, we even passed that down to our sons.
Yeah.
Fall down, man. Don't cry. What you doing, man? Get up, man. You know. I had to learn that as a dad of two boys, right? Because they may not be emotionally strong like I was growing up because I didn't have the luxury of crying. You get up, dust yourself off. You good? All right, get back out there. I had to learn how to cater to their emotions instead of thinking that their emotions should be mine. I had to learn that. So, I had to deal with them differently when it comes to their emotions. Well, what's wrong? Let's sit down and talk about it versus what's the problem? All right, man, here go the solution. Like, you don't need to go through all that other stuff. So now it's more so, all right, well, sit down, let's talk it out. What's going on with you? Why are you feeling that way?
Mm-hmm.
That's the doc rubbing off on me. How are you? Why are you feeling that way? So, but it should be okay. It should be okay for not just black men. It should be okay for any man.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah, it should be okay for any man to cry, but it's
you shouldn't have to hold those type of emotions inside of you because one, it'll start making you sick mentally, It'll start making you sick emotionally. And if you don't have a spiritual connection with God, it'll start making you sick spiritually as well. So yeah, it should definitely be okay for black men, white men, Indian men, anybody to cry. So
Yeah.
And it does start when they're boys. You know, it don't
yeah,
make saying man up and all that kind of stuff. We got to stop saying that. Because if we're training our boys, training them up at a young age to think it's not okay to cry, then when they become men, they think, well, they told me, daddy said, or mommy said, whomever told me not to cry, so I'm crying now.
I will say if they're crying a little too much,
Yeah, you gotta reel that in.
all right,
Gotta reel
you
that
cry
in.
like 4 times now. That fifth one, yeah.
You can't really cry.
It might depend. But yeah, I get that. So these last couple of things, because we're getting short on time, but I wanted to talk just about briefly on this one, suicide in black men. What do you all think are like some of the things, like maybe if you had like a few things that you feel leads to this, like what are critical concerns or issues you think lead to this happening specifically in black men?
I can say feeling hopeless, feeling like there is no other way. Um, Feeling like no one will care if you leave. Um, Having certain things stripped away from you, kids, marriage, job. Um, Not feeling like you can really confide in anybody or anybody understanding your circumstances. Um, I mean, it's a whole laundry list of things. I can go on and on. Fellas, anything to add?
I'm gonna speak from personal experience because I done sat on this ledge. For me, it was feeling like I had no other option. I felt very much alone. I felt like nobody understood. Um, I felt like David said, I was just hopeless. I didn't see any end at all. Like it was just like I would be better off gone, right? And when you lose yourself in a situation, it's easy to lose yourself entirely, like if that makes sense. Because you get so caught up in what's not there that you can't see what is. Like you can't see the forest for the trees. Like it's like, man, like I was so lost in my own mess that I just felt like I had no value to anything else in this world. And to be honest, the one thing that kept me from jumping off the ledge was my kids. You know what I mean? Because God don't put this thing in me where I care about being such a good dad that I couldn't do it. But I can honestly say, man, I sat on my bed with a loaded 9mm and I was ready. But again, I ain't had nobody to talk to. I'm trying to process a lot of things at one time. I was just lost, dude. Like I said, just lost in my mess. And as a black man, like we've been saying the whole time, if you don't have anybody to kind of like that you trust, that you can go to and be vulnerable with, you will find yourself in the darkest space of your life and not realize that you have a million people around you who you could talk to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I thank God every day that, I was able to connect to the one thing that really saved me, and that was my boys. Like, you know what I mean? But I remember the day, and I'm gonna never forget it. Like I remember the day like it was yesterday. You know what I mean? Gun loaded, bullet in the chamber. Me in that bed. Remember it like it was yesterday.
Um, I had a family member about 3 or 4 months ago. We had a really deep conversation. They were going through a lot of things, and when they admitted it to me, I'm just like, we were on the phone for about maybe 2 or 3 hours. They were telling me all their emotions and same thing. I know how I'm gonna go out. Like I've thought about it, and like I really had to sit there and tell them like, you got me, you got your mom, cousins, aunts. Like we got a whole slew of people. You know, think about your kids. Like it's just not yourself that you're taking out of this world. You gonna have to understand the ripple effect it's gonna have on whoever else is still here
Yeah.
and has to deal with that. So this topic definitely hit home for me. Like I said, just because of the conversation I had with the family member, and we got off the phone, man. I cried for about 20 minutes. I'm just like, you know, we are very close, and to lose that person for me will be like losing a blood brother. And so, I'm glad that they were open enough to share that with me, and we could talking through it, and it's hard, man. Even with the Twitch situation, you see this guy who's dancing with his wife and his kids all the time. You thinking everything's great. I think they had just celebrated their anniversary, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
A couple days later, take yourself out. You just never know what somebody's going through mentally. That's why I try to be nice to everybody. Stranger, friend, family, whoever. Like the bishop was saying today, you never know what somebody's going through when they walk through those doors. So you never know what that hug might do for someone. You never know what a conversation might do for that person. Just putting your arm around them, telling them you love them for today. So it's deep.
Yeah.
I will say, just piggybacking off of what Q said, like I was on the verge at one point. I can be honest. I think I thought about suicide since I was like 14 or 15 years old, and kind of been dealing with depression since then. And into my adulthood, and then going through what I went through within the last 3 years, I finally was able to get medication and actually seek therapy. Because it would be times I'll be walking around here, I'm smiling, but don't nobody know I'm suffering. And the events that happened, within the last 3 years that took place, I was just like, you know what, I'm tired. God and my daughter and my family and my friends are what kept me here. Because it would be times I would get off my second job and I'm thinking like, now if I go home, I'm not in a good mental capacity. Like I'm gonna end up doing something stupid. And my spirit would say, go to your sister's house. I call my sister like, hey, I can't be by myself today. So I'm like, all right, come on. And she already knew where I was. I had people call and check on me to make sure that I was good, but I was not mentally in a good place 2.5, 3 years ago. And it sucks because some people you try to describe, depression and things of that nature to them, and they don't get it, they don't understand it, and they literally don't understand it until they went through it. I actually had somebody that I dated that went through depression, and I did not understand how to be there for her, nor did I understand what she was going through until I went through it. So I had to, like a couple of years ago, like I apologize. I had to inbox her and apologize to her. Like, I did not know what you were going through, and I'm so sorry that I wasn't there like I should have been.
Absolutely. I really appreciate your transparency and vulnerability with even answering that question. And I think it just sheds light on how real this is and how mental health is so important. And your mental health is important. And us being able to be honest about the things that we experience, because, yeah, sometimes a lot of us, we walk around like there is nothing bothering us. people would see you and think, oh, they're just great. They're always happy. They're always this. Their life seems perfect. They don't have no problems, or if their problems are probably minor. And you really don't know what people are going through. You really don't know what people are experiencing, but it's real. It's real. And a lot of the stuff that, we all deal with, but specifically, I can, and I mean, I live with a Black man, but of course I don't know what it's like, but I know it's heavy because like I can see, what he has to do. It's heavy. It's heavy. And to try to carry heavy stuff with no one there to help you carry it, or even if you're praying, it's not to say prayer is not enough, but sometimes you need to be praying and you need some other stuff too. You need some outside supports. You might need a therapist to talk to. It's real though. It's very, very real. And so sometimes you all suffer in silence, and then sometimes people suffer publicly. And this goes into the last thing that I wanted to touch on, is this meme that I saw probably on Facebook some months ago. So there's a little bit of profanity, but it's kind of blurred. It's kind of bleeped out. But I want to share this meme. I don't know if anybody has seen this, but this is what I'm talking about in terms of public suffering and how we tend to make light of situations. So I want to give the gentleman a chance to respond to this. But looking at these three Black men who are all in the limelight, they're all celebrities, singers, rappers, actors, and to see something like this. So I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna just let everybody kind of take a look at this. When y'all see this, what do you think about? Like, what does this do to you when you see something like this?
Ain't nothing funny about it.
I can definitely identify with the Tyrese meme, like, cause I was in court for my kid, and I mean I did get to see him, but the fact that you even got to go through that, when you really just want to be there and just love your kids, man, like that's a lot. I was in court. I know 3 years. 3 years, and it really beat me up. And so, man, I mean, it's not funny. It's not funny at all, man. When you really sit down as a Black man and as a dad, for me, like that resonated with me big time. Like, and then the Will Smith one, bro, like that ain't funny, bro. Like, I don't see how people thought that was funny that his wife was telling him that she had an affair, like on national TV. Like, that's humiliating. Like, you can't laugh at that. And I mean, I know people say that, he knew, but even if he did know, like, don't put me out there on national TV, like, And the Kanye West thing, I just pray for the brother because, I know he got a lot of things that he deals with. He's a very straightforward character. And sometimes, I think he's misunderstood. And his crazy to us is really brilliance to him. And so, you just got to pray for the guy, because everything and everyone isn't meant to be understood. And clearly, a lot of people just don't understand Kanye. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the man is a musical genius. He's an artistic savant. And you got to respect him for what he is, but he also has to be able to respect others and their approach too. So I think that's where that kind of falls.
Dave, you want to go? I'll go last.
I don't know, that Tyrese thing kind of hit me different than um, Tyrese and the Will Smith hit me because it's just like, you know, not being able to see my daughter. Like I had COVID once, and I not being able to see her for a week. That kind of drove me crazy. So I can imagine how 2 years, would feel. Especially when you're trying to be a good father, and someone is like, "Well, no, like, what do you gain from keeping a man from his child when he's trying to raise her? Like, It's men out here who don't want their kids, but you're trying to keep a man who wants his child away from him. Like,
Right.
help me, help me figure that one out.
Yeah.
Um, and with I think with Kanye West having a meltdown on television, like to be all the way honest, that man ain't been the same since he lost his mama. That was the I think that right there is what really triggered him.
Mm-hmm.
Because his mom is what kept him level headed and sane. He lost his mama, then it's just like he doesn't have that balance anymore. And then Will Smith to have somebody just tell you that they had an affair with somebody that you trusted in your household, like that's a slap in the face.
Yeah, he should have slapped him instead of Chris Rock for sure.
Facts.
Bro.
That's just my opinion. You feel me? I would have
But
smacked him.
yeah, like us being us being made fun of or laughed at because we're having um I guess you can say a mental break. That is why most men be like, I just keep it to myself. Also, because of generational stuff and things of that nature, that's why some black men develop certain habits and certain things that are not necessarily healthy for them.
Facts.
I would say when I look at this, it makes me think that a lot of times we as men don't have a healthy outlet for that vulnerable space that I was talking about earlier. So things like this happen. Um, the Tyrese thing. Who's to say for those 2 years he was silent, trying to fight it, and maybe that was the only way he could express himself to get the attention that he needed for the situation to get resolved. We don't know, but the first thing we think of was why a man getting on there expressing like that, like you should have kept that in house, da, da, da. Well, what would have happened if he would have took his own life because this was happening, and then the first thing people would have said was, well, why didn't he do this or why didn't he do that? When he's coming and telling you what the issue is and showing you his vulnerable side, he gets made fun of. The Will Smith thing, I even with that, we'll take the two different reactions I saw. So I seen women champion what she did because let's remember that this was a friend of her son's that she had the entanglement with. I seen women champion that. I seen some women, say what she was wrong, but I seen more comments of women saying, "Good for you." Da, da, da. Now, if we flip that and that was a man doing that, oh my God, I can't even think of the backlash that we would have had
Home of the earth.
if we would have slept with one of our daughter's friends that was in our house and was having a mental breakdown at the time. I can't even imagine the fire we would have had to go through for that. Again, that's this side versus that side when it comes to the perception of what men should do and shouldn't do. Um, Kanye West, I, I
Just pray.
yeah, man, I don't know. I don't want to speak ill of another black man. I just say I keep him in my prayers, and I hope everything works out for him.
And that's fair. The bottom line is like all three of these men are hurting, probably even still now, or at least were hurting, and to make light of it and actually to make fun of them. It proves the whole point of what we're talking about, why black men or men don't talk about or don't share, they're not vulnerable, they're not open, is because we make fun of it. It's a meme, it's a joke. I mean, I can't even say how many memes, especially of the Will Smith one that I saw. Even outside of that one, there were so many memes with people laughing and talking about him. And then we've seen, a lot of things even occur after that. So it's very, very important that we don't make light of situations like that. And it's not funny. Why someone's pain funny?
Yeah.
I'll take another one real quick because I know we're limited on time. even when Michael Jordan gave that passionate speech at Kobe Bryant's funeral and he was crying, I, how many memes have we seen of that Jordan crying face? You know, that's whether it's a joke or not. That man was pouring his heart out because he just lost someone that was close to him, and we make it into a meme and put it on stuff like it's a joke. Like that's not. It's not funny.
It's not. That's the thing. It's not funny. It's just not funny. So it's just like kind of like, you know, when you think about what's appropriate to joke about, what's not appropriate. Someone's pain is not funny to joke about. You know, it's just not. But just lastly, as we wrap up, what advice would you give Black men any age about mental health?
It's okay to talk.
It's okay to speak. It's
okay to
speak.
You know, you hold it in is not going to do anything but add more weight to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, get that weight out for you, man. Open up your mouth, find somebody safe, find somebody that you feel is safe, that you can, you know, speak to and really be vulnerable with, who won't judge you, who won't take what you share with them and throw it back in your face at a later date. Like, find somebody who really shows you a love that you can feel, because when you feel it, then it puts you in a place where you will share. And so, you know, and don't listen to what everybody else say about what they think. What do you think? Be an individual. It's okay to have your own feelings and to really, you know, move in your own way. You know, you're wonderfully and uniquely made. And so, you know, you have to move in that, and you have to be okay with that. And, you know, if you want to share, like I said, just find somebody that you're comfortable sharing with, who will receive what you have to say and help you find a resolution. Because a lot of people just want to listen. You know what I mean? They just want to listen, and then they want to give you their 2 cents, but it really isn't a 2 cents worth spending. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, find somebody who's really going to give you some godly feedback, or point you in the direction of somebody who can really help you work out of the hole instead of digging a deeper one. It's time out for, you know, what it looks like. You know, a lot of people get caught up in what it looks like. We done with that. Like, what is it? What is it really? And be okay putting that out there. And it's going to save you a lot of heartache, because here's what happens. And I don't want to like talk too long, but here's what happens when you don't share. It begins to spill over into your other relationships. It begins to spill over into your workplace assignment. It begins to spill over into your relationship with your children. It begins to spill over into all the facets of your life. Yep. And you think that you're just trying to keep you together, but in reality, you're destroying everything connected to you. And so you have to be cognizant of that. You have to be able to realize what you're doing by not saying anything is more detrimental than what you'll do by speaking. Mm-hmm. So open your mouth, be comfortable with that, you know, and know that there is an end to your suffering. Don't live in your pain. There's an end to it. You can end it by just finding someone who can constructively help you work through it. That's why finding you a doc is good. Find you a therapist, man. I ain't gonna preach no more. God bless
you. All right, Pastor.
I was trying not to do that.
That's just who you are. It's okay.
I would say I would tell them it's okay to ask for help, because as Black men, as men in general, it's hard for us to ask for help sometimes, because we're supposed to be the providers. We're supposed to be the head of the households. We're supposed to, you know, hold the construct of our families together. And sometimes the social definition of a man to do that is to do what you need to, worry about everybody else's feelings, and to make sure your family's okay. But sometimes it's okay to ask for help. So I would tell them that. And, you know, like Q said, find somebody that you trust, that you can talk to, that you can open up to and be vulnerable with. Um, that's very important to have somebody that for that.
Right.
I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Find you somebody to talk to. Find a church to belong and go to. That I feel like that's a key piece
Facts.
because being able to get that word in you and have a community, that's big.
Hmm.
Because if you feel like you're not the only one going through it, then the problem doesn't seem as big. Um,
That's good.
Mhm.
as
All right.
well as just be able to have just some good people around you to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Some good solid brothers to talk to, which is why I feel like the church piece is so important because I know the church that I belong to, we got some solid men
Yeah. Shout out to church though.
Shout out. Yeah, big shout out.
there. Shout out
Yeah.
City of Promise,
Yeah.
much love.
1260 Hicks Boulevard, the new city of promise. Come check us out.
Hey man, come through, come check us out.
Come on back.
Um, yeah, we got some really solid men in a solid ministry, so um, that's it.
That's it.
That's literally that's it. That's all.
Mm,
Dr. Ntatu, we appreciate you for letting us come on your podcast.
absolutely. I really,
Much
I'm
love.
speechless. And I mean, a lot of people think I'm quiet. I'm really not. I'm not usually that speechless. I'm really not. I so appreciate you all. Like, you have no idea how much I appreciate you all. This was a very valuable discussion. And I just want to say this last little thing. We really need to, I was writing down so much stuff. We need to protect, love, and value our Black men. Like, we've seen just three phenomenal Black men on here this evening who have shared from their hearts. They have been honest, they have been transparent. And y'all super dope, super dope. The way you all
Appreciate it.
articulate,
Likewise.
Thank
God
you.
bless
Likewise.
you.
you know, the way you all speak, y'all know what y'all talking about, and y'all did it so well. I'm gonna just stop because I'll get on the soapbox. But I really, really appreciate you all. This was definitely a phenomenal discussion, and I'm praying for each and every one of you, and that the words that were spoken this evening by all three of you touch someone, another man, a young boy, a teenage boy, someone um, who will be able to listen to the words of wisdom that you all have shared on this evening and really take it to heart, because this is some good stuff to take to heart. Take it personally. Yes, take everything you heard tonight personally so
Yeah.
that you can receive it and do what you need to do to make sure that you're protecting your mental health. So again, I thank you all so very much. Definitely awesome night. Thank you, sis, for that comment as well. And I also think the comments on this evening. So I know we ran way past time. I knew we would. It was worth it this evening. But just before we go, I just want to share this information that we always share. Our schedule: on Mondays, we have our Monday message, and Wednesdays, Wednesday wisdom, weekly at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Purpose Journey Counseling LLC Reloaded. So please join us on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then every first Sunday of the month, we have this podcast. It's different topics every month, but we do have our podcast every first Sunday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, she love y'all. She love
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 you
you
too.
too, sis.
We love you too. We love you too. And we have that every first Sunday. So that means that, so go ahead and mark your calendars now. Our next episode of Hashtag from a Christian, Hashtag from a Therapist with Dr. Ntatu, episode 11. We're going on a year. Going on a year will be Sunday, April 2nd, 2023 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please, please, please join us. So I thank you all again for joining. I thank you for sharing. And I thank these gentlemen for being on this evening. I do want to share our tag for Purpose Journey Counseling every time we're together. I want to encourage you all to be loving, be kind, be compassionate, and be intentional towards others as well as towards yourselves. So again, thank you so much. Lord willing, we will see you Monday, which is tomorrow, tomorrow for our Monday message live at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. Okay, I think I got one more comment. Okay, be blessed. Have a wonderful evening. Blessings and love to each and every one of you.
Brothers, love y'all.
Have a good night.
Yeah. All right.